I'm on the phone with head football coach Mark Arnold of the MDI High School Trojans. And, Coach, it's hard to believe we started this back 2 months ago. It's been, the longest and also the quickest 2 months. It just seems to have flown by, and here we are, the last game of the regular season.
Yep, the season always goes by fast. Once you get into those hot days of summer, it seems like it doesn't take long for it to cool down.
I posted online last night as I was getting ready for tonight's game. We always play towards the end of the games the Kenny Chesney song, "The Boys of Fall," and I got a huge lump in my throat. And I mean, this is kind of a bittersweet time as you come towards the end of the season.
Absolutely. You spend a lot of time with these guys, not only during the season, but right up through the winter and the spring as we get going with things. It's been a lot of time invested by the players and the coaches, and they're a part of our family in a way. And so it's always hard. They're here in school still, so I get to see them every day. But for some of our other coaches, that's not the case. So as the season winds down, you start thinking about your graduating seniors and all the time over the 4 years that they've been here with us that you spent with them. It's always a sad time. The end of any season, no matter when it comes, is a sad time.
Yeah, I always get very emotional with it. I mean, I'm invested in that. I spend, all season following the teams. I've watched these young men from the time that they were boys grow up. I broadcast them in multiple sports, but at the end of the season is just always, it leaves a lump in my throat. I mean, this game, we know this is, 99% the last game of football. When you get into playoffs and all of a sudden it's over, it just comes crashing down.
Yeah, I think the past couple of years, we've gone deep into the playoffs and the seasons have been longer. And this year I'm thinking it's not even Halloween or hunting season or whatever season. And things that have normally overlapped for us aren't overlapping. And, I was thinking last year and the year before how the guys were really pressed because the winter sports seasons were really starting at the time. There was even an overlap a little bit. The week of the state game with the basketball season and winter sports, but it's different, and we don't know for sure what the outcome will be tonight. But we've been taking it 1 week at a time all along the way anyway, and we're focused on Belfast and having a good game tonight, and not worrying about anything else besides that.
Well, Belfast is going to be focused on MDI because they need a win to get into the playoffs.
Right. And whether it's to get in or to position themselves, we know that that's an important football game tonight for them. And so I'm sure that they've had a good week of practice and are excited to welcome us over to Belfast.
And senior recognition night down for the Lions as well.
Right.
How has the week gone? What have you focused on?
Well, we've had a really good week, I thought. Other than the ice pellets that came down on, what was that, Wednesday?
I know. I'm seeing, it's a good thing you've got helmets. I mean, let's face it. But there was hail down in Bar Harbor Wednesday afternoon.
Well, I didn't have a helmet.
No, Coach, but you're old school. You played with leather helmets. You're old school.
That's right. I didn't blow away last night either. I was firmly set into the ground. So.
That ballast helps at times.
Yeah. This year we had such a dry last part of the summer and early part of the season that our field was so dry. I mean, I remember there was one portion of we had a week where we were out there and we had problems with dust. Yeah. I mean, the dust kind of kicking up, and then we started to get the rains, and but because it was so dry, this is about as bald as I've seen our practice field. I mean, it really got worn out from the dryness, really. and then that doesn't help when it starts to get wet. So we put up with a little bit of mud, and we've had hail, and all those things you're supposed to have if you're playing football.
What's the psyche of the team?
Well, I think our team's really looking forward to the game tonight. I mean, for us, this is number one. We want to go out there and have a good performance, and we've been a little bit disappointed that if we were to get 3 wins, that wouldn't get us into the playoffs over a team that didn't have that number of wins. And so I know that the boys, they've really felt like, hey, they have something to go out and prove tonight. Early in the year, I really thought that 3 victories would get us into the playoffs. And
I think it would have under the old Crabtree formula.
Yeah.
Because without a doubt, MDI has one of the toughest schedules out there. But with the heel points don't take into account strength of schedule.
Yeah, not in the same way. I'm not, Coach Braun and Dan, our trainer, they've followed those along closer. Dan does them. I think, he's followed them with basketball more too. And I just thought, based on last year, we had more teams in the conference who had, the 3-4, or they're going into this weekend with a 3-4 record.
Yeah.
Than we had last year. We had some teams that only had 1 or 2 wins last season, and everyone who had 3 victories last year qualified. So I think that going in, what I thought was, gee, we have a really tough schedule. And, it looks like if we can win 3 football games, that got everybody in last year who won 3. And so we kind of thought that. I mean, really, the way that our team is stacked up, for us, we thought it was going to be very difficult this season to win that stretch of 4 games.
Right.
Just with the number of younger players that we were starting. And so I think realistically, as coaches, you start off and you're thinking about, well, how do you think we're going to do this year? Well, we thought we'd get 3 or 4 wins, and we needed 4, I think, really to get in. There is some kind of chance for us to get in. Dan said he figured the points out, and so we were told last weekend that we wouldn't, and but it's like a whole slew of games that have to go certain ways, and for us to really have any chance. And so like I say, it's just kind of disappointing because we really thought if we did get 3 victories that we would get into the playoffs. But
it's tough too because your victories over a B school, that being Hamden, and you've got other members of Class C that have victories over D schools. Yeah,
the thing that kind of changed this year was last year when they went to this system, the schedules were built where there were crossover games with B schools and Class D schools. And in the off season this year, the D schools decided that they weren't going to play in crossover games, and so they've just played within their own classification. And what happened was a couple of our C schools have picked up games with the Class E schools,
right? Which are really developmental league,
right? And so I don't know if that was thought out at the time, but at least my feeling is Class E schools are not a part of the state's tournament structure, and so I'm not sure. I'm disappointed to think that as a Class C school, you can choose to play a Class E opponent and earn points for that. And that's kind of made the difference. We have a couple of teams that have played the Class E schools, and they're getting better points for playing one of those schools than we're getting for playing Hamden, which is a Class B school.
Right.
So, but maybe they'll look at that in the off season, and like I say, I'd feel a little bit better if those teams were actually included in the state's tournament structure, if they were going to include them in the state tournament structure for points.
Right. Tell us what you know about Belfast, if you would.
Well, Belfast, they have a new football coach this year, so they're running some different things. We really can't look back on older tendencies that they've had. We used to play Belfast all the time. Last year was the first year that we didn't play Belfast in a long time. And we'd always played them in the time that I'd been here. And so, this is a fresh look at a new coach and a new team. And I think that they're young, too, and developing. They've shown progress over the season, getting better and better. And I think they've done some of the stuff that we have where, when we look at their early football games, they have certain players in positions, and throughout the season they shuffled those around a bit to find a better mix. And they've done well in their past couple of games with the personnel that they have in. So they like to throw the football. They've thrown it more than they did in the past, and they have a good running quarterback. So going into the game, we'll have multiple threats to contend with.
All right, Coach. Best of luck tonight. We'll talk to you on Monday, see how everything's worked out, and have a look back at the season.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Chris, and we'll see you down there tonight.